a little refresher on knife skills. Sharpening your knives, first of all, because you remember you have to have always a sharper knife is actually safer than a dull knife. So I want to make sure how the proper technique for sharpening your knives, and then we'll go to use those in some knife skills. But let's get started. So so you know all these. It's called steel, and that's the one that you usually do all your knives. Yeah, you've seen it in movies. You put it like this, and you go like this. This actually is not sharpening your knife. It's actually just like kind of like imagine if it's like you're like combing it so that all the fibers, the metal fibers in the edge are aligned. But that's not actually sharpening. For sharpening, you need, and I have here in a little bit of water soaking, is a sharpening stone. That's what you have to use. So from a wet sharpening stone that you can use, put wet for like a few minutes, then you're gonna do this, running into the blade. So imagine you have two pennies attached here. So that's kind of the angle you want to do. So you're touching with a blade, but you have to have a little bit of angle on the top. And then you go like this. Sometimes if it's really needs some sharpening, you would take some time and do it for a while. But otherwise, it could be just a few passes. And put some pressure with your finger on the bottom part and only go up. Don't go up and down. Up and down is not a good idea. Only not only because you could cut your fingers, but also you're going against the grain in the sharp side. So that's how you're gonna do a couple of passes from one side to the other, then switch your knife like that. I like to do it this way, kind of like perpendicular to the stone, the knife, but some people do it also this way and then just to make it easier, like go like that, almost like you're spreading some butter in the toast, like that. You can do it either way, works. Just make sure it takes your time and do it. So once you've done that, again, you're gonna wet your knife with a towel, you're gonna wipe it, and that's when you go and you use this, okay? And then do a couple of passes like that. You've seen it probably into these. And so that's one way of doing it fast. But if you want to save for two, you put it on the cutting board and do like that. Again, also like with a little bit of an angle. And then it should be really, really nice. And then you go over like that and basically touch it. But yes, it should be nice and sharp like a razor. If not, you can continue doing it. Also, every time you do that, then get some water in the blade and with a towel, you make sure you wipe it for either with the stone or with the steel, because there are little pieces of metal in there. You want to get rid of them. Actually, you can see them in the cutting board. Some part of it is the stone, but some of it is like pieces of metal. You don't want that in your food. So you need to definitely clean that. So to show you how do we get to this point, this is our knife skills for citrus. Really great. So get your fruit. And they're going to do the following. And you're going to work over a bowl. I have a little bit of this already. So cut your like that big chunk of it. So you could see a really nice, clean, round edge. You see the fruit in there. So you see these ones, all these are great for the juice. So you're going to go and squeeze. Also, nice tip. When you're squeezing, you have two hands. I'm using my hand with this for the knife. This hand that I'm holding in knife never gets wet, cannot be wet. I cannot squeeze with this hand and then go back and grab the net. That's not safe. You can slip the knife and have a cut. The other one, that's fine. So that's why I grab it with this other hand while I keep grabbing and squeeze that part. All right. Always, and it applies in many cases. So you want to keep the knife as the hand that's holding the knife. So now we're gonna do these, just like a little circular motion around the orange. But see how easy it goes the knife when it's sharp? There's just like no comparison. And then always keep your cutting board nice and clean. So you're going almost with a little bit of a, like around the fruit, but you want to make sure that there's no, just as clean as possible. See this little part? Then you can just shave it with your knife like that. Because you want a really nice, clean piece of fruit. Over a bowl, you're going to work directly over a bowl because there's a lot of juices still coming from here, and that we want all that flavor into our ceviche. or our cocktail. So go like that. Very easily. Just you're going to need the segments. So you removing the end, these parts. You're actually not changing them. You're just flipping them. And you know, there's little membranes in between the segments. You don't want that. That can make it the fruit taste a little bitter. And you know, it's practice. Just take your time. So if you see one of these seeds, that's fine. You're not going to use it. You can actually take it out. And see how you, with this hand, you grab the other side and just get the segments. You know, it takes a little practice, but it's really good. And, you know, you don't have to do it all the time, but it's always good to practice this. And if you're doing this to someone you care about, you're showing, you know, that you put some effort in cutting this nicely for that person, which is always good. You're dedicating time to entertain friends and family. So anyway, here's our last piece. So now we finished this one, but there's a lot of juice in here. So again, with that same hand, not the one with the knife, go and squeeze to get all that out. Seen me cut peppers before? I have just like my strips, do them in strips, and then in small pieces. Always remember, your fingers is the bear claw. I call it the bear claw. It has to be like that so that your knuckles touch the blade. That'll be your guide so that you don't cut yourself. And this one here is tricky, the thumb, always behind the rest of your fingers. Okay, so this is our pepper, goes in. Now we're gonna go with, I'm gonna show you how to do really nice piece of onion. So this is our red onion. I cut it in half and peeled it. But since I wanna get a little bit, traditionally, you know, we would go like this, we cut it across, then we cut it on this side horizontally, and then we'll chop it, which is fine. But in this case, actually, I'm gonna make it a little bit more refined. So I'm gonna do, because we're not gonna use a lot, so I get almost like a layer. You can get two. And then to that layer, we're going to slice it. If you're very picky about it, you even want to slice it, you know, as horizontal as possible, and then flatten it as much as possible. And then see how like it's really pretty, because this is the dish to make things look really pretty, really small and very perfectly fine. You don't want to take the time, like you can just rough chop it. And same thing for here. You actually can do just a couple of slices like that. A little goes a long way in here. And then slice again into thin strips. These ones I'll kind of move them across and then try to cut them a little smaller. Okay, so then for this one, we'll just also dice small pieces. So this is what we've mentioned before. For avocados, really nice, healthy fat. I have basil with me. Make sure your basil is nice. You wash them and dry the leaves. So for the basil, you know, you have many options. You could do, like they say, you make it little, you can roll it and then get little pieces. I've also seen this, and you know, by all means, do what you can just with the scissors. Go like that. Once you make the, and you know, kitchen scissors that are nice and clean. So you can just do that instead of the knife. I like the knife because it's just faster, but sometimes you can do like that. And once you have it like in the strips, you can go with your knife just a little bit, because you know, basil can be very fragrant and it's great. So I'm using it here, but you can use cilantro, but I like it. And you'll just give, yeah, I can smell it.